and kick things off, you know what I mean?
Good evening and welcome to the Whatever It Is channel. I'm glad to be back with you tonight and hoped I'd have time to come in and make a short video and maybe catch up on some of the things that have been going on today. It's been an interesting day. One thing that happened today is Peter, Geriatric 1927, made another post today, and he hadn't made an upload of a video in about I guess it's been 3 days. So he made a post today that I caught it while I was working. Hope nobody noticed, but anyway, read his latest upload today and found myself wanting to reply to what he had said. So I did put up 2 videos today in reply to Peter and his latest effort, his latest edition. So if you look on our channel page, you'll see those. I won't go into detail about them, but you'll see those uploaded videos that I did today. And I think those videos, I guess, were read or seen by some of the people that check his channel. Some of those folks came over and became subscribers on this channel, and I received a few emails and a few compliments from those. So the statistics I gave last night on subscriber numbers has gone up about doubled today. And I didn't really do a calculations on the number of views or anything like that, but anyway, it's still growing. And I had several emails from around the country and around the world. I had one email just not too long ago from a young man in Great Britain, and he requested that I make this next episode. He was a young man of I think he was 14 or 16, can't remember right now. But he said he'd like to know how TV was when I was a young man compared to how it is now. I wrote him back an email and we chatted a bit, and I sort of promised him that I would try to do that on the episode tonight. So that's the direction I'm headed in. You noticed probably by the introductory title that I think I called it Early Television 1952 or something like that. The reason I picked 1952, and I know it's not true in all parts of the country, but in this section of the country, and I did live near here when I was growing up. I've been here my whole life. Television stations didn't come into this area until late, being a rural area. I know there were some TV stations in the larger cities in the I guess in the late 40s. The earliest stations that I remember in this area came on in the early 50s. Don't remember exactly what year, but I do remember what year we received our first television set, and I think it was a used set that my dad had found and bought. Don't remember the price of it. I suppose back in those days, since local people were making only about $1 an hour, that anything like that would have been quite expensive. But anyway, one day he came bringing one home in the trunk of the car. And the reason I remember the year, it was when I was in the first grade of school. And since I was born late in 1945, my first year in school was in 1952. So the first TV we had in our house was in 1952. Now I do remember, and I have a real good memory back to my early days, so I can tell quite a few stories on many things back to my earlier days. But I do remember that before we had a TV at home, that we would go to some relatives that had a TV before we did. And one of the favorite things back in those early days was live wrestling. At least I think it was live wrestling, broadcast from one of the Chattanooga TV stations. I live in, as I've said before, in northeastern Alabama. But about 60 miles away is Chattanooga, Tennessee, just across the state line north of the Georgia state line is Chattanooga there in Tennessee. And that at that time, well, I guess still is, was the biggest nearby city. So they were the first city to get a TV station. And if my memory serves me right, it was Channel 9 WRCB, I believe, TV came on in Chattanooga somewhere in the very early 50s. I don't know the exact year. But that was one of the few stations we could get. Some people in our county that lived on some of the higher mountains or hills around here could also receive a signal from Birmingham. Now Chattanooga is about 60 miles away, and Birmingham is about 100 miles away. But those people in the higher areas could receive a signal also from Birmingham, which had 1 or 2 stations at that time. And when you receive a signal, compared to nowadays, not too many people now, I think, at least out in our area, in the rural areas, have any outside antennas up anymore. It all comes by satellite TV or by TV cable. In those days, your only choice was to put up an antenna up on a pole as high as you could get it, and you would have to point the antenna toward whatever station that you wanted to try to receive. And in those days, due to, I don't know if there was any available, but due to people not having very much available money, they had no rotor or rotator on their TV antenna to move it around. So if you wanted to go from one station to another station, somebody would have to go outside and yell back into the house, and somebody in the house, you yell outside and tell that person that was turning the antenna pole when they got it pointed toward the station. And that was very important, because even when you got it perfect on the station, the best picture we could get in this area, you just barely could make out what was on the TV screen. The old cameras were very poor in the old days. They were blurred and very low contrast. The old TVs were even worse. And when you combined trying to receive a signal from 60 or 100 miles away on not too good of an antenna, about the best you could expect would be spots on the TV, black and white spots, no color, but black and white spots on the TV to make out the images. And those spots would be the size of a end of a grain of rice or a pencil lead. So not real good TV at all. But anyway, I'm kind of getting ahead of the story, and I was telling that my dad brought the old TV home, and he brought an old antenna home, and we put it up, get it strung up. And I still remember that first night, I guess because we had never had a TV before. It was all new, and it was all grand and wonderful. But I still remember the show, the TV show, that I don't remember the name, but I remember some scenes and what it was about out of that first night when I was about 6 or 7 years old, and watching that TV that he had brought home and strung up that night. So that was the start of it. I was telling that sometimes prior to that we would go to a relative's house and watch wrestling. My dad was a very big boxing fan, and there was boxing on in those early days. I think action things were very popular. The TV shows were very, very limited,